Imagine, if you will, a hard-working mother trying to wrangle her two misbehaving idiot children from running amok in a supermarket. This is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep in a juicy little nutshell. A prequel to the original Kingdom Hearts, first appearing on Sony's first attempt at a handheld console, the PSP.
I'm playing no!
Which was rescued a few years back from its slow degradation on a now dead platform into the arms of the PS3 and 4, in glorious high definition. I remember when this title first came out, and the fanfare that was surrounding it. I was one of the people also screaming its praise. I could barely believe that so much content could be packed into something which I could take with me on the go, and for the time, looked fantastic to boot. And now, I'm a fair bit older, chip on my shoulder, chock full of smoulder. Does the game still elicit that same feeling of praise I had for it as a younger man? Well, upon replaying it, I can safely say,
I mean, it's fine.
Look, I often see people who have negative views of the Osaka team's Kingdom Hearts games getting dragged by their hair and slammed into the wall. So me saying, I enjoy it, regardless of the plethora of issues, makes me a little nervous, if I'm completely honest. Kingdom Hearts has been a franchise I've loved to laugh at, but also genuinely love. So my issues with this game are simply because I just want it to be better. From its grating storyline to gameplay which needed a little more time in the oven, and like, holy fuck, can you stop jumping? But at the same time, correcting certain issues I had with previous titles, and including a lot of other elements which I feel enrich the series as a whole. Is it the worst? God no. But then its flaws definitely stop it from being one of my favourites. So let's stop wasting time and start off right at the beginning. The game starts off on Destiny Islands, where a man who we assume to be Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts 2 is saying, you know, Kingdom Hearts shit. This transitions into a hooded man holding an unconscious white towel. This white towel turns out to be a real-life boy with real-life nipples, who has seemingly fell into a part of his subconsciousness where he's talking to a mysterious voice, claiming that it's a new heart. The boy's heart is apparently fractured, however the light of this new heart repairs it, making it whole once again. This will not make a lick of sense until the very ending of the game, so hold on tight because, oh boy. With his heart now restored, the boy is able to materialize a Keyblade, much to the hooded man's delight. Fast forward and the boy turns out to be one of the central protagonists of Birth by Sleep, named Ventus. Some may already be questioning his resemblance to a couple of other characters in the series, and well, Ventus is surprisingly the answer to these questions. We get a cutscene which beat by beat replicates one of the first cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts 1. Insert red letter media clip here, fucking George Lucas.
They rhyme.
And so we're introduced to the next two main characters of this title, Aqua and Terra. Both Aqua and Terra are currently trying to become Keyblade Masters. But wait, hold the phone there. I thought Keyblades were meant to be extremely mystical, almost reverent items that are, at least according to the narrative of the first game, and to a lesser extent the second, quite rare. Okay, so whatever you thought in the first few games about Keyblades, it's really about time you just forgot about them. From Birth by Sleep onwards, the very idea of a Keyblade gets a little, well, to quote the funny man from The Incredibles,
And when everyone's super,
No one will be.
if you've been watching my Kingdom Hearts series from the first game, you may remember me bringing up Tetsuya Nomura catching a fatal case of George Lucas syndrome. This is where his disease really started to take effect on his games. With George, it was lightsabers, Nomura, Keyblades. Personally, the mysticism of the Keyblade lost all impact after Birth by Sleep due to oversaturation. And as brought up earlier, when everybody has a superpower, having superpowers becomes the new normal. And in the first game at least, having a Keyblade was anything but the norm. And the characters surrounding you seem to believe this as well. So before Aqua and Terra take the mark of mastery, Aqua passes Terra and Ventus some good luck charms named Wayfinders. As those of you who've invested any time into Kingdom Hearts will know, the shape of this charm resembles that of a Palpu fruit native to Destiny Islands, and is something which connects people together. Apparently, after dousing it in a potent dose of Gamer Girl P, the charms are now blessed with an unbreakable connection. Please keep in mind that a crusty sponge can become a powerful item in Kingdom Hearts if the power of friendship even farts in the space around it, so you'd better believe these will come back in some shape or form. Meanwhile, on the world of Mysterious Tower, our old friend Yen Sid is training a then apprentice King Mickey.
Mickey, I cannot shake the feeling something terrible is about to transpire.
And without further ado, the mark of mastery begins. A trustworthy old man licking his friendly lips at our dear boy Ventus, which for some reason makes him uncomfortable. I am not sure why. Hide your nipples, Timmy! The leader of the world the three protagonists live on is named Master Ericus, and is one of the 2 overseers of this Keyblade exam. The second gentleman is named Master Xehanort, a sweet, kind-hearted old man who wants nothing more than to see the children of the world succeed. Xehanort seemingly sprinkles some pubes over the balls of light, causing them to catch some of that nasty-smelling darkness. This lingering darkness doesn't appear to leave after the first part of the exam, Terra showing a small sign of not being able to keep his darkness in check. Although perhaps this was the work of a trustworthy third party. This causes him to fail the exam, much to his shock, causing Aqua to be the only one to pass, becoming Master Aqua. Terra gets in a bit of a huff and leaves to think upon his failure. Xehanort, leaving the exam hall, passes a strange-looking young man wearing a mask, inquiring about Ventus. It's clear that from their interactions that Xehanort and this young man are well acquainted. Now this next scene perfectly points out one of my more disliked elements of Birth by Sleep. I am, of course, referring to Terra, the silliest little sausage to grace the Kingdom Hearts series. Gonna break this facade I've been maintaining about Xehanort being anything but the series' supervillain, but holy damn, how anyone in this game can see him being anything but menacing and evil is beyond me. In this cutscene, he literally tells Terra that the darkness stirring inside of him is totally fucking epic and he should harness it instead of trying to force it aside, like Master Ericus is suggesting. To me, this is the same as being taught from an early age that injecting heroin is not the best thing to do. You believe this until Lord Sauron approaches you and is all, "Ignore them, my child. Shove the needle straight into the vein. It'll be so much fun." Oh, guess I'm doing heroin. The brakes still haven't stopped on Terra's stupidity slip and slide, and trust me, we'll go into more detail on that later.
More like Terra Bull.
Not long after this encounter, Terra and Aqua are summoned to an audience with Ericus, the master informing them that he's just heard news from Yen Sid that dark forces are trying to kidnap the 8 princesses of Heart. But alongside these dark forces are a new foe we haven't encountered before named the Unversed. The Unversed are fledgling emotions which have taken physical form, and they can't be left to wreak havoc over the scattered worlds. Why aren't they using Heartless? Fuck if I know. To finalize this meeting, Ericus informs Terra that he has one final chance at becoming a master, by completing this mission and proving that his supposed lust for power is kept under control. He then tasks the new Keyblade master, Aqua, to keep an eye on him. If he smashes his controller on the floor and leaves a big grumpy dump in his diaper, it's up to her to bring him back home. Meanwhile, Ventus, alone in his bedroom, gets an unexpected visitor. Instead of going, "Why the fuck are you in my room?" and screaming, as I would, because I am a baby, he instead asks who he is. The home invader ignores this question and instead tells Ventus that he may never see Terra again. This triggers us a few clips to show us that Ventus and Terra are indeed friends, just in case we forgot, and he runs off after him, catching him just in time before he shoots off to help assist the other worlds. For the eagle-eyed individuals out there who've watched my Kingdom Hearts series, you may recognize this particular design, and this game actually does a decent enough job of explaining its origin. And on the topic of this design, I actually really love it in its clones. If there's one thing Nomura can do, it's create fun clothing and armor, outside of his stick-it-to-the-man obsession with belts, which I feel he's most known for at this point. And so the game proper begins. Terra is off to help rescue worlds from the Unversed, Ventus is in hot pursuit of Terra because a fucking home invader turned off his object permanence, and Aqua now has to pursue her 2 wayward children. As it turns out that Ericus is adamant that Ventus may never leave this world, and needs Aqua to yeet him back as soon as possible. This is where the game takes an interesting turn, as this is the first Kingdom Hearts game which lets you choose from 3 playable characters right at the start of the game, each with their own unique stories, mini-games, and even basic gameplay. This is something I'd totally be up for seeing in another Kingdom Hearts title. Having 3 separate characters actually works in BBS's favour, at least for me. And since this is a personal review, I'm going to explain why. Replaying games can sometimes be quite tiring for me, especially games which have such a large focus on story. Yes, you can skip cutscenes, which makes it a substantially shorter experience, clocking in at around 6 hours for each character at a leisurely pace, but that's kind of why I like it. Sometimes I really want to replay Kingdom Hearts 2, but knowing it will take me a reasonably long time to reach a point where the combos allow the game to explode in combat quality, BBS allows me to pick a character I like and breeze through the game to reach an itch that wasn't being scratched. I'm not saying make all Kingdom Hearts games like this, but maybe maybe another spin-off in the future which grants you access to more than one character with this same idea and, you know, without DDD's involuntary drop mechanic, would be a pretty fun time. Anyways, as usual, the game's levels all revolve around Disney films, and this time around they actually let us visit the worlds of the Princesses of Heart, who we didn't get to visit in all of the other entries, which is a nice touch. And shock horror, hold on to something, I genuinely think this game merges the worlds of Disney and its original characters much better than all other entries. It's still not what I'd call good, like I still get that second-hand embarrassment whenever I see this particular scene.
All this time, I've been staring into the darkness. But that doesn't mean I have to jump in.
But actually incorporating elements of Terra's understanding and manipulation of the darkness inside of him into the Enchanted Dominion level, being taken over and used to extract the heart from Aurora, weaves this particular Disney world into the overarching story. Then there are scenes like this one, where the fairy godmother decides she's important enough to claim that fighting darkness with light is a bad idea. Like, okay, what have we been doing for this entire series then? Go away? And of course, there are nonsensical moments like this one.
Oh, how interesting. I've never seen a mouse like you before.
That's clearly a boy! That's clearly a boy in your cage made for rats! Let him out!
My wife's slippers.
But regardless, well written or not, it's
Terra,
still
you
really
stupid bitch.
funny. And a better implementation of one of the main draws for your series was something I was always championing. So, you know, well done Nomura, you actually did it. And so with one issue fixed, for better or worse, has the gameplay remained consistent from Kingdom Hearts 2? What has been changed? Well, surprisingly, quite a bit. As I mentioned before, each character has their own unique playstyles when it comes to basic gameplay. However, Birth by Sleep mixes things up from the usual Kingdom Hearts formula by introducing a few new elements. Firstly, and the most noticeable change, is the deck command. In the first two Kingdom Hearts games, you'd have a traditional drop-down menu, which you'd recognise from most JRPGs. Keeping in tradition with most handheld spin-off Kingdom Hearts games, however, Birth by Sleep changes this with what is essentially a card-based system. You choose a card from your deck with an ability or spell, which is extinguished and then requires a small load time before you can use it again. You can fuse certain abilities together to create brand new powerful techniques. Slotting an item at the bottom can grant you an ability, such as an increased combo, increased magical damage, or reduced deck load time. Obviously, there's your regular attack function, which doesn't require a load time. However, mixing spells or just plain attacks together can lead you to activate a finishing command, which essentially boils down to a big meaty DPS burst on a time limit ending with a satisfying flashy technique. Next up is the shot lock command. This makes it so you enter a short aiming segment, where you lock onto various enemies in the map. The more a shot lock levels up, the more enemies you'll lock onto at a faster speed. You'll then unleash a barrage of damage, sometimes requiring you mash a certain button or doing a short QuickTime event. Finally are Dimension Links, shortened to D-Links. And this is where Aqua's good luck charms come in. See, the magic she imbued into them actually have a gameplay purpose. Whenever you meet certain characters in your adventures, their portrait will be added to the D-Link via the magical power of friendship, and will grant your character different abilities and potentially different attack patterns when triggered, essentially replacing summon spells from previous titles. So with all of these new elements combined, do they enhance the experience? I mean, they work. I'd just rather never have to see them again in their current form. See, the deck commands, they work. Gameplay can feel fun and can often offer a decent challenge. However, the way you can level up your skills and gain abilities, which can vastly overpower you at an early level, is a teensy bit broken. For example, if you have enough fleeting crystals, you can simply buy a bunch of cheap abilities from a Moogle vendor, level them up by running in and out of a room causing Unversed to spawn, then merge the abilities together, giving you attack haste. This makes it so your deck commands reload even faster, making basic gameplay pretty unchallenging. Shotlock is another example of dampening the overall challenge of the game, and it's a shame since I think this edition could be really good if they just tweaked a couple of things. The most important change, I think, is the fact it makes you entirely invulnerable to attacks whilst you're initiating it. You have a moment of vulnerability whilst aiming, however the shotlock levels up so fast that eventually you only need a second or two to take off a bar of a boss's overall health. So if you see a boss charging up its big dick attack, haha, have no fear my sweet child, allowed? Just lock on and flick that little bean till you literally explode all over it. Maybe replacing invulnerability with raised defense, but still allowing you to be hit would give you more of a risk versus reward incentive to use it, instead of relying on it to easily clean a room of enemies or substantially lowering a boss's HP bar with zero fear of leaving yourself wide open. Finally are the D-links, and I mean, on one side of a coin, I like leveling them up with my completionist mindset on, but other than Mickey's D-Link, which grants you 50% more experience, and the fact that triggering a D-Link auto-heals you to full, they're about as optional as playing the Android version of Final Fantasy VI when you own the original. Why would you do this when the original is much better? Not only that, but using a finishing command with, let's say, Mickey Mouse, which replaces your original attack button, there's no way you can exit it, and just have to leave yourself idle until the animation ends. Video games are a plague, and I'm the fucking cure. And last but not least,
They float.
another personal issue I have with Birth by Sleep.
They float.
Something which, to my knowledge,
When you're down here with me.
has caused somewhat of a divide between the community.
You float down!
I know this topic has caused and is causing a lot of eyes and heads to roll about in their sockets with tired abandon, because I'm not the first and definitely not the last person to bring this topic up. If you want to hear a genuinely well-constructed, unpatronising video carefully analysing the floaty gameplay of post-BBS games, then I'll link you to the very talented Bloody Biscuit's analysis of that specific topic, as I think he covers a lot of the issues I have with much better finesse and, more importantly, a genuine, knowledgeable passion for Kingdom Hearts gameplay. If you're sick of this topic in general, then you're more than welcome to skip it. Here's a time code, you're welcome. But if you want to stay and listen to the version that's the equivalent of a baby smashing blocks into various holes, then this is the channel for you. So there I was, a sweet baby child, running around the dwarf woodlands when suddenly, I started to notice that gravity felt very light. Now, so long as your feet remain on the floor, then this is hard to notice. But you see, enemies, specifically earlier bosses, have this really fucking annoying habit of jumping very slowly, which in some cases forces you to jump very slowly in order to reach them. This is when I realised just how exposed and naked I felt once I was up in the air, because whilst you're on the ground you have decent methods of escaping with a good amount of control. Once you're in the air, if we compare how air combat is dealt with in Kingdom Hearts 2 and how smooth it feels to go from dodging to slick combos, in BBS you just linger far too long, leaving yourself practically exposed unless you use your aerial recover or dodge, which goes in one direction. This is not the worst thing in the Kingdom Hearts series at all. It's not something which makes me think BBS is a bad Kingdom Hearts game, and I do accept that it's one of the better action games on the PSP, Dissidia 1 and Duodecim taking joint first place. But now BBS is on the PS4, alongside titles which are made exclusively for home consoles, and the gameplay in comparison is slow. That includes your input lag, jumping up and falling down, and your main combos in general, especially your air combos. And honestly, I don't want the idea of fighting in the air being something that I instinctively get irritated over. So now we've gotten that out of the way. We left our three heroes all flying off on their own separate adventures. Terra to save worlds from the Unversed, Ventus to search for Terra, and Aqua as all of the above plus babysitter duty. Now, I'll be dealing with this story in a condensed chronological manner, as best as I can anyways. Each story is pretty short, so piecing everything together will make for a fun personal puzzle. And oh dear, am I terrible with puzzles. So, starting with Terra and rebooting the old conversation about my dislike for him. He really doesn't get on my good side when Maleficent pops up looking like fucking Satan, and his first response is to ask her directions instead of being incredibly wary. He pays quite dearly for this, and this is a repeating pattern in Terra's story which the stupid brick of a boy can't seem to learn his lesson from. Maleficent drops an extremely hardcore allegation that Xehanort was planning on capturing all of the Hearts of Light, something which Ericus has sent Terra out to stop. Instead of being on high alert after this, he instead pushes this to the back of his mind with a Scooby-Doo has to find more clues! Not only this, but along the way, he discovers from one of the locals that a masked boy seems to be the one controlling all of the Unversed.
The guests were just starting to enjoy themselves.
Hello? I would like to file a noise complaint.
Meanwhile, Ventus, hot on Terra's trail in the dwarf woodlands, is finding out scraps of information from the locals, essentially claiming that Terra is a naughty man. Ventus is fast to defend Terra from such slanderous accusations, but finds himself questioning if Terra really did engage in naughty man activities. Obviously at this point, they are all misunderstandings or flat out slander. His adventures up to the midpoint really boil down to pushing his friendship and understanding of his friend Terra to its limit. And out of the three, I'd say it's the most adventurous, due to Ven's sheltered upbringing. And then we have Aqua, everyone's favourite. Now, out of all the stories, I'd say I'm in the majority opinion here that Aqua's storyline is the most interesting out of the three. Whereas Terra's story is incomprehensibly stupid with how gullible he is, and Ventus's journey of naive teenage emotions running rampant, it's nice to have Aqua's story swoop in, which feels much more relaxed. Despite her failed attempts at wrangling her two misbehaving children, does it come without flaws? Absolutely not. There's this line in Castle of Dreams as me puffed up like a disgruntled cat.
Who are you? And what are you doing in my house?
Regardless, she means no harm.
She broke into that house. Of course she's dangerous. Never mind your failed assassination attempts. Bring me your toes, my dear.
And my other issue is Aqua.
So, you finally showed your true colors, bitch boy?
Oh, rats. It's the loud woman.
Shut up, rubber gloves. I've been with this series too long and I've heard too much from mouth breathers who piss on Aqua any chance they get, and I'm not about to let some sassy Austin Powers wannabe do her dirty.
Yeah, baby.
I am here to make a stand, to set the record so straight it thinks handshaking is gay. Aqua is wonderful. Kingdom Hearts has had its fair share of selfless, friend-loving characters, but Aqua is all that and a bag of chips. She's kind, confident, attentive, intuitive, and can kick some major ass. People always beeline for the Aqua is boring, therefore she's bad crap opinion, but if you slow down and think for like 2 seconds, the girl is the most competent person in Birth by Sleep. She becomes a master, babysits the diaper boys, poops on anybody who gets in her way, can survive nuclear explosions, and whips out the Book of Genesis to create a whole new world. God dang, she is spicy. Not to mention, the girl just believes in her friends, trusting that they will do the right thing and not nagging on them all the time. She wears the overprotective mom jeans while being the loudest one rooting for you at the baseball game. What more could you ask for? She may just be the girl in the group to some, but there is no denying that she is way more proactive than these poor tortured souls. I am just so tired of hearing ice-cold takes on a character that literally didn't do anything wrong, so pull down your pants so I can give you a spanking!
Hold on, my dear sweet friend. You see, I foretold this cameo was approaching and merely tricked you into spilling your guts out because guess what? I agree.
The holy words have been spoken. I forgive you, my son. Carry on.
Yes, I agree. Aqua is probably one of my favourite characters in Kingdom Hearts, aside from Roxas and post-Kingdom Hearts 2 Riku. Don't forget this, goofy fucker.
My plan was supposed to blow your mind with its grandeur. Your jaw should have hit the floor at my sheer genius.
She's easily the most relatable character and is written in a way which brings you to root for her and eventually grow to like her. I've easily clocked in many hours of gameplay with Aqua solely because of this reason. However, my issue with Aqua is sadly the direction of her voice actress. I'm honestly passing no blame onto her voice actress for this one, because she's shown many times before that she's an incredibly talented performer, but I'm strongly guessing the voice direction boiled down to Aqua is a calm, kind-hearted young lady. Make her sound like this throughout the entire game. I'm off for a 2-week cigarette break, have fun, GG. The result is an extremely tired, neutral performance. Sometimes though, her delivery is really good.
Oh, you mean, no, I have to leave right away.
The emotion gets across somewhat, but then in some scenes it's like,
tell me, where did you get that?
You went with that take? You could have got her to record another. Take your Philly cheesesteak in with you. Just get it done. Other than that though, Aqua's journey to the midpoint is a fairly standard but enjoyable experience. Oftentimes the worst parts of her story are the script inconsistencies, like when she's talking about how maybe it's just Ventus's time to spread his wings and fly away from home. But in the very next level she's like, you get your ass back home right now or so help me God. Did anybody look through the script and go, huh, maybe we should change this little hiccup? No. The answer's no. So back to Terra. On his adventures through the lanes between, he recognizes Master Xehanort's presence on a mysterious world. Upon landing, he questions him on his supposed evil actions. Xehanort surprisingly admits to some of the accusations. However, he does so with the grace of a small beaten kitten to trick Terra's caveman brain into thinking he's innocent. Xehanort admits that he is the one who created the masked boy, who he names Ventus. He's claiming that he's only doing what he's doing to safeguard the light, and that Ventus is actually a creation that comes from Ventus. Or to be more specific, Ventus is the darkness from within Ventus taken physical form, and is the entity behind the Unversed and their sudden appearances on other worlds. Xehanort lies and claims that Ventus succumbed to the darkness within himself whilst training with Xehanort before the events of Birth by Sleep ever began. However, it's later revealed that Xehanort split Ventus into two individuals, one of light and one of dark, because Ventus outright refused to reach out and claim the darkness that was inside of him, forcing Xehanort to take drastic action to achieve, at this point in the game, an unknown nefarious purpose. He then left a brain-dead Ventus with Ericus, Terra and Aqua, eventually regaining his consciousness into the boy we know now. Terra takes about maybe 2 seconds to completely disregard any feelings of mistrust towards the old man, and now takes it upon himself to take down Ventus. Terra speeds off and is shortly replaced by Ventus, who upon his journey to find Terra, finds Ventus travelling along the lanes between. He lands, has a small talk with Ventus, which boils down to, "Your friend is
terrible."
Shut up, you don't know him. Fuck you.
Ventus summons Keyblade number 201,929. They have a scuffle. Richard Rat drops in to help by accident because he's contractually obligated to at this point. He's all, "No bully," and Ventus is all so they fight again, win, become the best of friends. Mickey ejaculates into space, leaving Ventus to leave for the world of Radiant Garden, where he, Terra and Aqua will all meet again. Now, Radiant Garden is one of Nomura's worlds where he gets to keep a lot of his original characters contained. Some of these characters appear in BBS in the form of organization members back when they were humans. They aren't important to the story, they're just here as nods to the audience who were, for some reason, desperate to find out what these characters were like before they were nobodies. The most important thing to occur in Radiant Garden, however, comes in the form of Aqua meeting with a young girl we've all come to know over the course of the last few games. Radiant Garden turns out to be Kairi's homeworld, and after defending her from a few Unversed,
"Don't forget about Mickey!"
Aqua touches her necklace and claims that she's put a magic spell on it that'll take her to safety if bad things go down. This loosely translates to, "It's fucking magic, I don't gotta explain shit." This is why Kairi was sent shooting off to Destiny Islands when Radiant Garden was taken over by darkness and turned into Hollow Bastion. And the reason for Kairi being able to wield a Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 2?
I can feel the light.
Yep, that's it. That's the entire build-up, folks. Kairi touching Aqua's Keyblade would eventually lead to her inheriting this Keyblade in the form of the flowers she handed over to her as thanks for rescuing her from the Unversed. What a goddamn mouthful.
I picked you some flowers. Thank you for saving me.
Bitch.
At last, the trio meet together since leaving the land of departure, taking down a large Unversed that has been looming around the city. After defeating it, they retain their friendliness until Terra starts to press Ventus to return home due to the dangerous task ahead of them. This then prompts Aqua to question Terra about this supposed dangerous task, and if it's the same one Ericus wanted him to take from the start. This causes both of the little shits to get angry at Aqua, as if following her master's orders in order to see that our precious firstborn son doesn't run into any danger due to his inexperience, and to make sure that Terra actually completes his task and keeps the darkness in check. Because how else can Ericus actually know if he completes his assignment? Do you think your word is gonna be enough? What did you think was gonna happen? Why are you written this way? Like, I'm sure Nomura didn't want us to think Terra was stupid. I genuinely don't think his goal was to make a ridiculously idiotic character. But Terra is so poorly written that instead of what I think Nomura wanted us to have, which is a misguided, flawed character, instead we just get a man who doesn't understand very basic concepts and comes across as a legitimate moron. Ventus, on the other hand, has the gall to call Aqua an awful person and that her role as a Keyblade slave master has gotten to her head, simply because she was asked to observe her friend and because she might have been ordered to take little baby home to take a fucking nap or to avoid an actual universal calamity. Can someone give this girl a hug? I swear to God she needs one. So now the three are separated once again. Aqua being dragged through the dirt by her friends, Ventus still trailing behind Dexter Boy Genius, and Terra going slowly down the path to darkness, where he's about to encounter another sinister roadblock. Come join me again in part 2, where we see Master Xehanort's plans finally come to a head, and where Aqua's willingness to help her friends sends her spiraling down an even darker path than Terra's. Hey everyone, thanks so much for checking out part 1. If you enjoyed it, then please consider subscribing and sharing the video around to help people out with their understanding of the series. We're only 20,000 subscribers away from 100,000, so let's see if we can hit that seemingly impossible number. Big thanks to my very good friend Super Butterbuns. The fact she wanted to join me again fills me with many happy feelings, and you can send those happy feelings straight back by checking out her channel. She's easily one of the funniest gaming channels out there in my opinion, so don't sleep on it. Get on that shit. And of course, if you want to help support the channel beyond just liking and subscribing, then please consider checking out my Patreon. The link will be found down below, and any amount from $1 to $5 will be hugely appreciated. It seriously means the world to me seeing this much support for me and my work. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you all in part 2.